Hello there, and welcome Beyond the Blast Doors, a Star Wars podcast, a podcast made by fans for fans. This is, oh wait, I'm looking at the wrong camera the whole time.
I was going to say, you're an idiot.
3, 2.
That one.
I'm looking at
you need your IFB.
3.
Camera 1.
You found episode 8 of Beyond the Blast Doors, a Star Wars podcast made by fans for fans, and we have a loaded episode for you tonight. Forces of Destiny. That is, wait, is it Forces of Destiny or Destiny of Forces?
Forces of Destiny.
Forces of
Destiny of Forces? That doesn't even make sense.
You know, it seems like if we can get past David's first introduction.
We're usually really good. You found episode 8 of Beyond the Blast Doors, a Star Wars podcast, a podcast made by fans for fans. I'm your host, David Amalotti, and we have a loaded show for you today, starting with Forces of Destiny. Of course, we're going to talk about the Han Solo conundrum because what else is there to talk about? And we also have a great scoop on some comics coming up in this week and the week coming up. So with that, I want to introduce you to the other three hosts of the show, starting on the fore end, Mr. Jesse Buck. Jesse, how we doing, man?
Pretty good, despite inhaling some mass quantities of glitter today at work. I'm surviving.
You know, of all the complaints people have about their day job, I feel like inhaling glitter is the one that I've never heard before.
It's terrible. It gets everywhere. It's like sand.
But sparkly.
It's sparkly, yeah.
David
it's
Gilbert.
Coarse, it's rough.
David Gilbert, you are a ball of energy tonight, and you work for the Boy Scouts, and you're here with us tonight. How are you doing?
Beautiful day. Went out to camp today, and even a bad day at camp still beats a great day at the office. So, got another week of camp under our belts.
God, we need to get you out more. You just seem so dull by life right now.
Thank you.
We're going to inject you in the ass with some excitement. It's going to be fantastic. Nick, how are you doing?
I have to follow that, huh?
Yeah.
Do I have to buy you breakfast
We have,
afterwards?
No, we have an EpiPen.
I-
It's fine.
Normally you should buy somebody dinner
A can of
first day.
excitement.
Okay.
I'm not injecting you with anything, Nick. How are you?
It's a Monday, technically, for me, even though we're filming on a Friday, so it's
Thi-
okay.
This is nice. We're actually recording like on schedule. We have so much time ahead of us now. I'm taking a drink. Nick, you should talk.
Yeah, so, a Forces
All right,
of
that was
Destiny,
good. That
that's
was really
a big
good.
thing.
That was really good. That was a really good effort, Nick. Thank you so much. We have a lot.
Put me on the spot.
Well, we have a lot to get to on this episode, and like I mentioned before, Forces of Destiny is really the topic of conversation in the last week because we've had the first 5 issues, and so we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump into Real Talk. Real Talk is where we talk about all those things real related. That could be the saga films, the standalone movies, the Clone Wars movie that came out in 2008, and you know what? Animation is on a reel, so that counts for Real Talk. And we're going to talk about the first episode that dropped. That was back on Monday, and we're going to have a variety of opinions on this. I can already tell.
I think we're all over the place.
I can sense a disturbance in the force, and I'm excited
Nerd.
for it. Are you serious? Well, let's just go ahead and start with.
I think we're all thinking
That's like
that.
calling the kettle black, isn't it? We're going to start with Sands of Jakku, which was the first episode that dropped on Monday, I believe, and it was featuring one of our lady favorites, Rey. And this is a good time to mention, as you know, all of these shorts that we're going to be getting, we got this past week and the week ahead, are all female leads of the Star Wars universe, spanning all the different generations, the prequels, the original trilogy, and of course the new sequel, the sequel trilogy era. A lot of syllables in there.
Oh boy.
Let's start with Nick on this one because your girl is Rey, and this is the first episode. Can you kind of break down what we see?
I mean, overall, real quick, the series itself, first of all, the logo, not centered.
Oh gosh.
Oh dear.
I can't unsee it now.
Do you have OCD?
Yes.
Oh, gosh.
That's why I always touch door handles with my shirt. But, really, when
I have noticed that.
I've
Yeah.
never noticed that.
I eat fries with a fork,
I want to design the most awkward door handle for you
I
now.
hate you.
Let's get back on topic. Forces of Destiny. This ride is already getting derailed, guys.
So anyway, the way I feel that these is that the whole series I feel adds nothing to the Star Wars universe,
Okay,
which I kind of expected going into it. I'm not really holding it to that. They're meant to be for children or whatever. Basically, the way I look at them is that they're like deleted scenes from movies that nobody really needed to see. That's kind of how I feel about these.
Oh, someone say the same thing about the Han Solo movie.
Yeah. I mean, they're entertaining. I mean, obviously they're geared for kids. You know, it's this little story here. It's learning about the little creepy eyes that pop out eyeing BB-8. You know, kind of trekking through the desert sands. We
The Night Watcher worm.
Yeah, we know what that thing is now. So I guess that's kind of which sounds exactly like that other thing from
Empire.
Tatooine.
Oh, yeah, that thing.
No,
The
whatever.
dragon.
Yeah, the one that eats
Kite
people,
dragon,
not
yeah.
junk. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, yeah. So I'm very torn
So to give you a little bit more of an idea of this first one, basically Rey and BB-8 have just met. They're having a conversation. Tito shows up, tries to what would you say? He
wants to eat him. He wants this.
No, Tito is the dealer.
Oh,
the,
right.
That's the next one.
He's trying to.
Getting ahead of yourself.
Am I?
Yeah. That's BB-8.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so here we go. This is going really well.
Hey, you're calling me crap for trying to talk.
I didn't call you crap. Okay, so basically, yeah, they meet. The dragon starts trying to eat BB-8. They have to outrun it.
So I guess I'm a child because I actually kind of enjoy them. I enjoy some of them. I enjoy bits of some of them. It's kind of like when you reach your hand into
this
a bag
first one,
of
though,
Cheetos.
Specifically, how do you feel about this first one specifically? We keep talking about the whole thing. We need to talk about the first one.
Well, I love any story that has a big worm that tries to eat a roly-robit. So right off the bat, this one kind of won my heart over. I had robit instead of robot on the notes. Wasn't a typo. But I thought it was kind of lame that at the end of the day, there's just kind of this, little, oh, don't eat my metal, here's some other metal. And then, the worm gives her, emoji hearts and then slinks away, presumably to be seen the next day.
I just have to keep reminding myself it's for kids. It's for kids.
Jesse, what were your first impressions?
Really, out of all these, there's really...
You sound really excited about this first episode.
I wasn't. I didn't enjoy it. I thought this first episode was very pointless because I feel like when I saw The Force Awakens, there wasn't really much time for these events to take place, per se.
All 4 minutes and 58 seconds of it?
Yeah, I just kind of it just didn't fit for me. There's really only one of these episodes that I actually thought was very much appropriate.
Well, we'll get to that in a second.
But we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. I will say this. I do agree that this was not the best episode to start with. We've already acknowledged a few things. We've acknowledged that this isn't for us. This is for the kids, to get the younger generation, and especially that female demographic, into Star Wars. It's not for guys in their mid to late 20s. We've acknowledged that they're on the shorter side. We wish they were a little bit longer. And we've also acknowledged, we're about to, that the artwork is not what we're used to or accustomed to with Dave Filoni at the helm. Now, this was, again, the art style was chosen because they were going for that younger demographic, but I don't even think it's good enough for the kids. We'll get to it in a later episode, but I have some issues with the look of this. And I guess that's what we're going to go into with this second episode. We kind of touched it on already, is the fact that the second episode that drops, we're brought back with Rey and BB-8, and now it's the great speeder bike chase through the deserts of Jakku. Tito is trying to steal BB-8. I'm trying to think of the word. What happens when you try and abduct? The word. They're trying to abduct BB-8, but BB-8's a droid, so I don't know if that same term applies.
I feel like in that
Acquire.
galaxy, you can abduct robots.
They get chased. Rey and BB-8 get chased into the Star Destroyer that we see kind of lodged into the planet's surface in Force Awakens. And there was a scene in there that I really did enjoy, and it's where the Rey speeder is up on that ledge with BB-8 there, and Rey's kind of in the forefront. It kind of felt like if the stage was set by Dave Filoni, I feel like that's a very stereotypical shot, which I enjoyed. But again, I felt dissatisfied with this overall. Nick?
You just do locations. You have the ability to make anything because you're creating it for animation. I just hate that they're reusing just things we've already seen in the movie. If you're having this ability to make new things, do something new. I don't know why we're just reusing old environments. And commenting on the art style, I kind of like it. I don't know. I think
really?
I like it because it's just very unique. I don't like, which we'll get to, Anakin, but I get it. It's kind of a unique art style.
Jesse, go ahead.
As far as the animation goes, now the old Clone Wars cartoon, not
2003 Tartakovsky one.
Yes,
Samurai Jack looking one.
Yeah.
It's kind of the animation's kind of similar.
I don't agree with that at all. We talked about this last week. I don't think it looks at all. That Tartakovsky series looked significantly better than this.
I'm not
detailed.
saying it's the exact same thing, but that's just what it reminds me of.
The 2D flat kind of.
Yeah. It's unique. It didn't bother me that much. And I get that they're trying to hook kids to Star Wars, but if I was going to try to hook a kid to Star Wars, I'm just going to put the movie in.
David, you watched these first two episodes. Would it have been better just to get these both combined as one?
Yep.
Would that have been a little bit more enjoyable?
Yeah.
And why is that?
At the end of the first one, the wormie's happy and goes away, and then comes back in the second one to save the day, which is kind of dumb. So, granted,
yeah,
it's a very simple plot, but there was no need to stretch that into 5 minutes when it could have easily been 3 minutes instead of 2 minutes and 33 seconds.
I like what Nick said. It is filling in those gaps that we didn't get to see in the movies. Now, whether they're necessary or not, that's a different. That's something you've already touched upon. This is going to be one of those things like Screaming Citadel, that comic book series that you've heard me complaining about for like the last month and a half. This is going to be put in its own like on a different shelf, and I'm not going to. Sure, it's canon. Fine, let it be canon for the kids to enjoy, and they can have that to hold on to. But for me, this is something that's going to be kept in a different stack of Star Wars canon.
With the Star Wars Christmas special there?
The Star Wars Christmas special has its other special location. It's a little further away.
Let's not talk about that,
out
please.
in front of me, just chuck it. And...
The third episode of this series so far that has been released on the Disney YouTube channel. I probably should have prefaced this whole segment with that. You can find these episodes on the Disney YouTube channel. We've also provided the links for these episodes down below, so in the odd chance that you haven't been able to watch these yet, you got those links down there. We've also been sharing them with you sporadically this week on our Facebook and Twitter pages, so you can always check out those accounts for more information there. Third episode was Ewok Escape, and this one was interesting to me because one, you're going back, you're revisiting Return of the Jedi, the Forest Moon of Endor. You're bringing back Ewoks, and you're bringing back Leia. And I'm always nervous when we do this, where we try and give you another representation of a title character, with like Leia. And all right, so Nick, you're the most vocal. We'll start with you. How did you feel of this interpretation of Leia?
I don't think they could have picked a worse person to voice Leia. Wow. I think the voicing of it is terrible. It's so bad.
Yeah. So why?
It's not even.
Why do you not buy into it?
Okay, the other thing too is like, I will say this is the only episode where I kind of like learned something new from it. Now I know how she got the dress that she was wearing. I get that. It's like, okay, cool. Again, a deleted scene that I didn't need to know, but now that I know, cool. It's the only one that I think out of any of these actually added anything to the Star Wars universe in terms of like, hey, and now I know that. Anyway, this is just terrible. I'm sorry, but like, her voicing is awful. The artwork of her looks awful in this. I will agree with that. The only thing that's good in this entire series, I think overall, whoever is doing the audio and the sound effects, that dude knows what's up. He needs to get a job somewhere else because this is an embarrassment.
That is Nick's opinion, and it does not represent the entire opinion here of the show.
Are you sure?
Yeah, well, I will get to you in a second, but first, David. I don't want to get anybody in trouble. Listen, I'm not a voice actor. I respect anyone who does voice acting. David.
Okay, let me put it that. It's a great voice acting, but it's not Leia. It's nothing like Leia.
And that's my next question. Because, you know what, to me, I feel like anyone who does Leia, other than Carrie Fisher, lacks the warmth and the voice. David, do you agree or disagree with that statement?
I agree. I mean, unfortunately, she's passed, so she can't do it. But I'm of a differing opinion of Nick in general, because of the 5 that were released, this one is actually my favorite. Really? This is the only one that I saw that actually had like a little humor to it. So the Ewok runs ahead, sees its buddies being beat up by a couple bully stormtroopers, which I don't know about you, but I can relate, looking like an Ewok getting beat up by stormtrooper-looking kids at my high school.
Then dressed up as an Ewok in high school? Is that what I'm hearing?
It's Halloween.
Dressed as stormtroopers?
This is going down a dark path.
So Wicket drops a little lasso down and pulls up the stormtroopers, but of course as he goes down one side and they go up the other, he's too light to keep them there, so he flies back up, they meet halfway, and I thought this one had a little humor to it, which I enjoyed. I like Wicket, I like Ewoks, they are my people. And of the 5, this is my favorite.
Ewoks, they are my people. We need that in a poster. Just right there.
It's just Gilbert with 2 Ewoks right in there. They're my friends. Mm-hmm. No, that's great. No, I'm happy for you. Yeah. Jesse, you seem to disagree with Dave. And again, I will respect you. If you like any of these, that's awesome. And that's awesome. But
this could get a little bloody.
Go ahead.
Are you ready?
You don't like this one.
I don't, and I'll tell you why. For a few reasons.
I was hoping you would.
Okay.
Like you're not going to tell me on an opinion?
No, I'm not going to tell you why I don't like it.
An editorial show, you're not going to tell me how you feel. Okay, that's fine. No,
I don't like it because, for one, they just happen to have a dress on hand that perfectly fits,
it's
Princess Leia. Okay, come on now.
Nick's defending the cartoon.
From the time that she gets knocked off the speeder bike to her and Wicket sitting there having a cookie on a fallen log. They've had time to get her measurements and put together a dress. I mean, come on, I've done a little bit of sewing for my my armor and everything. Let me tell you, it took me all fucking year. Okay. And for one, let's look at the physical anatomy of an Ewok. You think those little stubby little fingers are capable of putting together a dress that quickly? I don't think so.
Are you about
Dave.
to tell me that you have stubby fingers and you have a hard time sewing your armor?
Yeah. So the other thing is about this is I agree that the voice actor did not sound anywhere close to Princess Leia. And that really bothered me because I think a little bit more effort should have been put into that. Okay. Not that the voice actor.
I'm not going to question anybody's effort doing the voice acting. I'm very sensitive because what's going to happen is one of these people are going to find this episode like you and Vonkar, and then they're going to go on someone else's show for an hour and a half. I'm not selling that at all.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like I understand that they did the best they could,
right.
But I kind of feel like if they couldn't actually get somebody relatively close, they shouldn't have done the episode. Okay, to me. And then we're talking about some physics here. How much do you think a little Ewok weighs? Okay,
not 35 pounds.
Not heavy
the weight
enough.
of an 8-year-old.
Okay, let's think about it.
That's how all the people inside the suits were.
Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper? So you can assume that stormtroopers roughly are going to be rocking probably anywhere between that 6'5" category. Okay, and
I think they're like 5'11".
If they're in physical, good shape, you're looking at somebody who's probably around 200 pounds. Okay, 180, 200 pounds, maybe
it's
a 60-pound Ewok hoisting two of these guys up, fully armored, up in the air.
I can tell you that there is no child watching this series evaluating as critically
You'd be
as you are.
surprised, Dave.
Really?
You'd be surprised.
Do you know some kids out there?
My niece, for one, would point this out. She would definitely point this out.
Uncle Jesse's really pissed off about this, guys.
I'm just really glad we're evaluating this and not the old Tom and Jerry cartoons, because I feel like you would ruin those for me.
What do you mean a mouse can hit a cat with a pan? That doesn't happen.
Don't even get me started, David.
Tweety Bird and Sylvester? Oh, God.
So this particular episode, out of any of them, definitely is the worst one.
Okay, well then let's go to the best one in my opinion. That's the fourth one, and that's the Padawan Path, and this features Ahsoka Tano, and it was so great. You had Ahsoka Tano, you have Anakin Skywalker, and you have Yoda. You have Yoda voiced by Tom Kane, you have Matt Latner back to voice Anakin Skywalker, and you have the wonderful Ashley Eckstein, who has done so much for the Star Wars galaxy in the last decade. Not just her role, but what she's done with her Universe clothing line, and just like as a face of Star Wars.
David,
so great to have these three people back voicing these characters for this episode.
Those three guys sounded a lot like the people on the Clone Wars that I've been watching the last couple
those
weeks.
are the same people. That was my whole point of that spiel. Is it's the same people.
Well,
but no, it's fine. Interject yourself. It's fine.
Here's the thing.
David's excited because he's finally on season 2 of the Clone Wars.
When you're telling me you have an animated series with Ahsoka, Yoda, and Anakin,
yes,
I'm expecting some like kick-ass thing about to happen.
Yeah, you are.
She knocks over a robot. Again,
well,
I get
it's a
it.
Big crushing robot.
I get it.
But
I get it's a cartoon.
She has 2 lightsabers though, which is pretty awesome.
But man,
she gets those in the Clone Wars.
That was so boring. In the trailer, like she shows up. There's that image of her popping up, and it's just like, boom, something's gonna happen.
Whoa, there's trailers for these episodes?
Yeah, there was a trailer that dropped last week. See, you weren't here. You were playing Battlefront 2, which I know you can't talk about.
It had multiple of these in it, so it wasn't like a trailer for each one of these.
So like they had the introduction of Ahsoka in that trailer, and it was like she was like the moment. It was like the climax of that trailer. Bass drop, boom, Ahsoka, and I'm like, cool, something cool's gonna happen. This is that episode that they have in that trailer, and it's nothing.
It's like I don't even know what kind of robot it is, but it's like malfunctioning. They make that very clear with the zoom in of the sparking wires.
And then I hate it.
Jesse,
this was the biggest letdown. For me, this gets the biggest letdown award.
See, for me, it was like it was the one that followed through for me because, like I said, I got to hear those 3 voice characters, those 3 voice actors. interacting again with their characters.
Sounds like I like to complain a lot.
You know what? You're just being honest about it, which is what we want on this show. I will say this: my only issue with this episode, and this is when the art really started getting on my nerves, which was Anakin.
Oh God!
Like someone used the term princey out there. I like Disney princey. He kind of looked like he had like lip injections, like kind of Kardashian.
Let's talk about that hair, Dave.
That hair, that
very
swoop.
Fabio.
It's just very Fabio. It kind of looked like a character out of like a Shakespearean play. Like it's just not it's just not.
I like the artwork kind of. That's the one.
Is it a thing where it's like too much? It's not enough detail, or if it's they're trying to keep it too simple? Maybe like it's not enough detail.
This is the thing that was kind of weird. Is it felt like Ahsoka looked very much like a 2D version of her Clone Wars self, which was great.
Yeah,
she looked great.
She looked awesome.
Yeah.
But I didn't. Yoda was okay, but I kind of. They should have just, for these characters, maybe because of the time frame.
Yeah.
They could have maybe went towards a little bit more Clone Warish with it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna totally copyright that word, Warish. But
it sounds good.
Yeah.
But if you like the word warish, comment below and tell us if we should use the word warish more. Thank you. That's the cue to comment below.
Getting these 3 voice actors back together was fantastic. I loved it. This actually was my favorite episode out of any of them simply because of the timeline. It's something where, honestly, if I could actually picture this in Clone Wars animation, and I felt like it would have fit.
Yeah.
I'm definitely on the same page with you with Anakin. I'm not sure what happened there, whether somebody sneezed. And please, if it was Nathan Grant, I'm so sorry if you drew Anakin for this.
I don't think he's involved in this project.
I hope not.
He's not. Maybe let's not even call him out just in case.
Yeah. But
sorry.
I don't know. It kind of felt like it just seemed like it clashed.
You didn't like it. It's okay. You didn't like it.
Yeah, the character artwork for that clash, but overall, the basic short story for it was the best.
Yeah, let's go on to the next episode. This is the last one, at least, that we've seen up until the point where we're recording this episode. Episode 5, The Beast of Echo Base. We're reintroduced to Leia. Leia is walking through with R2-D2. You might even be able to convince me that maybe the animation style looked the best in this episode. That's my opinion. But they're going through. They're hearing Chewbacca off in the distance. They don't know where he's at. They finally find him in this one room, and a Wampa is cuddling with him, and Chewbacca's making sounds like he's not into it. There's no consent. And so R2 starts shining the light because that's the natural thing to do. They don't have mace, so they have a light.
R2 is creeping in on this.
He is a little bit, and so after Chewbacca is able to escape this perpetrator, Wampa. A chase ensues, and that's kind of a brief summary of that 2.5-minute cartoon. How did you like that? He didn't offer consent. David, let's start with you. What were your impressions of this episode?
It sucked.
Oh
my God, this one was the worst of the 5.
Why? You got to tell me why, man.
So, Chewbacca, he's kind of a badass. He's got that big-ass bowcaster that we only see used once, but he's like a great big towering scary figure, and here he is getting forced upon by a wampum, and his facial expressions are all awful.
I just like how you just give everything its own new name.
That's whatever. It's like midnight.
My thing
been
is
up since 5.
We've seen Chewie be a wimp before. I mean, remember A New Hope when they go in the trash compactor? He's scared of that beast. But get this big walking carpet out of my way.
Listen, I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to make Leia come in, save the day, look like a badass, be more of the general that she ends up growing into, which is character development. I'm okay with that, but not at the expense of Chewbacca bitching out like that.
Yeah.
Just not. No, this one can go up there on the shelf with the Star Wars Christmas special, and it can stay there.
Again,
Wow.
David, you can't put that Christmas special that's in its own
I haven't
sealed
seen it yet.
box at the depths of the deepest part of the world.
We're gonna do a special episode, I think,
Can
with
we-
this Christmas.
can we do
special.
that
I
at
have
Christmas?
it. I have it
Do you
on
really?
VHS. Yeah, I have it. We'll
Of
do a
course you
special.
do.
Do you still have a VHS player?
Oh, I still have a VHS player. It's okay. We'll do it. Jesse, for this episode, what's your reaction? Are you in line with David?
I kind of am because, for one, you've got Chewie here, who's a Clone Wars veteran. I mean, you could assume from the Battle of Kashyyyk that he's seen some stuff. He's, but all of a sudden now he's afraid of that. Like it just doesn't make sense to me.
I just don't understand like the position that he's being he's almost being cradled by the Wampa, and like was the Wampa sleeping?
I think I think it thinks he's like a teddy bear.
Was
what the other aspect? The only thing I did enjoy was actually if you view like Battlefront 2015. There's a few Easter eggs in there. When you're in Echo Base, there's actually a door that's closed off with like warnings and everything. If you listen carefully, you can hear, the Wampa, roaring.
Well, wasn't it the Dark Forces game that had like there was like a level where you went through the Hawk base and there was like Wampas that you had to kill? I think that was Dark Forces. So, correct me if I'm wrong. If I got the wrong game, comment below with the right game.
So it's one of those things where that I appreciated, but overall, I mean, again, I guess it's very much directed towards a very young age bracket. So
yeah, we keep coming back to that.
I keep trying to look past the ridiculous.
I think for the older, fans and everything, I think you're going to have to continue to look. I like to think that Dave is working on something a little bit more in line of like Rebels or
and we gotta keep in mind
or
too,
Clone Wars.
This is a series that is specifically created, designed, and executed on the digital platform. These are not animations that are meant to be on TV or that quality. These are supposed to be web exclusives, and they're going to be Diet Coke Zero versions of what we know to be the best, which is the Clone Wars.
Yeah, but
Rebels.
we know that diet things are considered pretty bad. The fake sugar stuff is really terrible.
Causes
for the kids.
Cancer.
Yeah.
We don't. Again, we're not discouraging you from drinking Diet Coke because we don't want to get sued.
I'm just saying, like, again, I agree with it. I agree with what you're saying, but you have the big name voice actors coming in for this. I feel like they should be given a little bit more substance to work with.
If we get sued, do we have to go back in and like bleep out the word Coke?
Probably.
And if we do, can we just like make another edition where we just bleep out random words?
Yeah, we'll just record this entire episode all over again.
Just for giggles and shits.
Combine the two brands that you had Coke C.
And I'm pretty sure we've had enough expletives on this episode where I need to put the explicit icon now on iTunes. So that's great. This is really fun.
We've only had one F-bomb.
Yeah, one is always just enough. By the way, if you can be listening to us on iTunes or Stitcher, which is available for Android users, or if you're able to watch us on YouTube, we're glad that you're watching us on YouTube. And if you are watching us on YouTube, be sure you're commenting below. We just went through the first 5 episodes, those shorts of the Forces of Destiny series. Tell us what you think. Do you agree with what we're saying on the panel? Do you disagree with what we're saying? Comment below, let us know. And we'll be sure to shout you out on next week's episode because I feel like, we're going to have 5 more episodes that we need to go over. So we'll definitely want your reaction for that. We have one more topic in Real Talk, and we knew this segment was going to go a little longer this week because we had all those episodes to get through. But our next topic is thanks to the same guy who's responsible for the shorts, Dave Filoni, the creator of Star Wars Rebels, decided to be very generous Thursday night on his Twitter account, and he dropped some knowledge on us, dropped 2 images explaining that the Bendu from Star Wars Rebels and Ahsoka have engaged in a conversation before. And this happened around that time of Season 3, and the one image is concept art of Ahsoka Tano speaking with the Bendu, which we know the Bendu is the one in the middle. Not light, not dark. I'm sure Jesse will catch us up in a second if we need more of a clarification. But we actually get some dialogue even between the Bendu and Ahsoka. And so, guys, opening it up to you. You've seen both of these images. You've seen the dialogue, and I can pull that up here in a second, and we can read that if you want. But what is your initial reaction, Jesse? I want to start with you because you and I, you're just. I know how much you love the concept of the Bendu. So do you enjoy this? That there's been this conversation about. I should explain this. The conversation is about whether or not Ahsoka will die or how she will die.
I enjoyed it, but I mean, it obviously raised my own questions. I feel like Dave is like teasing us.
That's exactly what it is.
I mean, the Ahsoka Lives T-shirt, and then this conversation that took place between Ahsoka and the Bendu, which if we skip towards the end, it's Ahsoka asks, "Will I die?" And the Bendu responds, "Will you? I don't know that. Goodbye then, Ahsoka Tano, former Jedi Knight." So it's one of those things that, I mean, I don't want to say too much for our young Padawan here, because he hasn't seen as much.
No,
of
we're going to
Rebels.
spoil it for him. It's his own fault.
I read the Wikipedia article today.
Well done.
Do I get a gold star for that
So,
one?
Jesse, what was your
Possibly.
point?
It kind of. I don't want Ahsoka to come back in some weird spirit force animal. We've kind of talked about this a few episodes back. I would rather, if she's dead, fine, come back as a normal force ghost, not some weird, force animal. It just doesn't make sense to me.
David, you're a novice with Star Wars Rebels, but you see this tease. Does this, you hear all the different opinions out there. Does it excite you?
I guess since we started this podcast, I've heard a lot about the gray Jedi kind of being not good, not bad, kind of skirting the between. And it kind of seems like the Bendu's like the team mascot. Is that kind of what I'm gathering?
Yeah, it's a fairly accurate assessment.
So if we think that maybe Luke Skywalker in Episode 8 is kind of on that border fringe now of kind of being in the middle, thinking that the Jedi need to end, then I'd be interested in learning more about this in-between era, this gray area that comes with it.
I really like the fact that David hasn't watched Rebels. Like you're getting into the Clone Wars. I like that because it kind of reminds me of what it was like when I was first starting out, and it's a really cool perspective. And I'm glad to know that it excites you because my hope is that if there's anyone out there who hasn't enjoyed Rebels yet or hasn't gotten into Clone Wars, that this is like something where it's like, well, I need to get to the point to where I understand what the hell this means. Which I feel rewarded because I have watched all 130 whatever episodes on Clone Wars, and I've watched Rebels up to this point. Nick, you're a fanboy of Rebels too. Do you get excited about this, knowing the role of the Bendu?
I mean, yes and no. I mean,
Ahsoka's your girl.
Yeah, Ahsoka and Bendu pretty much are like the same in a lot of respects because she kind of renounced the Jedi, but obviously she's not a Sith. I mean, she's fighting Vader and all that, so it's
Right.
like she is very much that middleman in a lot of this. Other with like Star Wars Rebels, she kind of more on the Rebel side of things, obviously. But I don't know. I don't know how much. I just hate the "so I will die" thing. It's just like just get on with it, man. Get on with it.
The thing about this is the second time in the last 3 months that Dave Filoni has gotten on Twitter and tried to address Ahsoka Tano. You think back about a month and a half.
Like there has to be a grand finale. With this.
Yeah,
like,
he dropped.
He's got everyone's like thinking like, oh, she's not going to return. She's not going to return. Blah blah blah. He keeps dropping this stuff. Like she's got to come back.
First it's this is the owl is an owl, the bird is a bird, the wolf is a wolf. Ahsoka Tano is Ahsoka Tano, and so then you get this image. I would have to think that she's making an appearance in Rebel Season 4, and I'm more confident in that now, seeing this, because we keep revisiting it. Star Wars Celebration was the shirt. Yeah. It's the 2 tweets that we've just got done addressing.
He doesn't let it go.
He doesn't let it go. Well, it's, what? Ahsoka is his baby. And I think that he wants to make, he's going to tease the fans because he wants to keep that the topic of conversation. Yeah. I also don't mind it because it takes our minds off of the Han Solo conundrum. Which is going to be talked about in just a short bit. That's going to do it for Real Talk. We'll remind you that if you have an opinion about the news with Dave Filoni dropping about Ahsoka Tano and the Bendu, make sure you comment below. Do you like the Bendu? Do you like the constant teasing from Dave Filoni? Tell us below in the comments. Also, a good opportunity right now to remind you that this is the 5th and final week of our Ayla Secura contest. So you need to make sure that you are looking on our set, trying to find the Lego minifigure of Ayla Secura. And then as soon as you have located her, be sure you write down that location along with the location of the minifigure from the last 4 episodes and email that to beyondtheblastdoors at gmail.com. You will be entered in a contest to win a free Star Wars graphic novel. And we will make that announcement on our next episode. And we'll make sure to reach out and get your mailing information and all that stuff. So we'll take care of all that. Okay. It's time for Pages, Pixels, and Pieces. And this is a segment that we really do love because it gives us a chance to talk about Star Wars Battlefront. And it seems that some individuals that have some access to the Battlefront 2 alpha version have come up with some... first they made some terrible decisions. They basically leaked some information. So I'm really worried for them because I think they're going to lose their access now to the game. But we now know that, according to this list that was found on Reddit, and we want to give credit to StarWarsNewsNet.com for this story because they were the ones that kind of mined this out. I think there were a couple places that reported it, but they did a really nice job over at StarWarsNewsNet.com of breaking it all down. It's 15 characters that we know are going to be in this game. So right now, we're going to put up the spoiler icon in the top right corner of your screen. We're going to talk about these characters. Nick is going to take over the conversation. We do want to let you know, because I'm looking at you, Jesse actually is one of the Twitch gamers that has access to the alpha version as well, and he's not going to be talking about this because we just don't want to jeopardize. Oh, I bumped my mic. Don't want to jeopardize your situation with the game, but you will be able to talk about it afterwards when the game actually comes out.
I can comment what we have note-wise
You sure?
here. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's start with Nick though, because he's the one that's really been researching this. So Nick, take it away.
So we'll jump with the characters that it has listed. It has listed 15. Boba Fett, Han Solo, Leia, Luke, Chewbacca, Darth Vader, Emperor Palpatine, General Grievous, which I'm pretty excited for, Kylo Ren, Darth Maul, Captain Phasma, Rey, Yoda, and Lando.
Bosk is also on that
Bosk,
list.
I forgot about him, right.
Why Lando?
That was my first question.
I
Mark.
don't-
That one
I don't
is
get
kind of
that
random.
one.
I feel like he's only in it because of the film coming out, the
Good
Han
chance of
Solo
that.
film. That's probably the only reason he's in it.
I mean, what's he gonna do? Like gamble at you or something?
And I feel like noticeably missing from the list is an Obi-Wan. I
Okay.
feel like he's been in them before. I don't know where an Obi-Wan. Granted, he's not in the current genres of game, but I mean, he's a well-known character. I mean, neither is Yoda, but he's, So I feel like Obi-Wan's missing in it. I'd love to see Mace Windu. He's not in this either. There are certain people like right before the show, I was trying to think of all the people like who is missing.
We don't have Owen Lars, the meth moisture farmer. I'm really bummed that we don't get to play with the drug dealing Owen Lars.
Yeah, but I'm just kind of going through. I mean, I won't go too much in depth with each character. I mean, it's generally pretty self-explanatory. What their each weapons are and that kind of thing. There's no real surprises under any of these. I mean, the classic, the pistols for Han and Leia, and obviously Boba Fett has the rocket packs and all that, the jetpack and all that. Luke Skywalker, obviously the lightsaber, and he has a listing in that force push, force repulse, and rush. Those are all very similar and dragged over from the Battlefront 2, the original Battlefront 2. So I mean, overall, I like looking forward to Chewbacca. Chewbacca, I'm pretty looking forward to. General Grievous. I don't know if he has the 4.
If you can do dual arms and then go
That's
4 arms.
I'm hoping he has the 4. I don't remember if he did in. I forget the other one. But yeah, the Lando, for your sake, because I was also curious about this. He's got the X8 Night Sniper, which is a model of blaster pistol manufactured by Blast Talk Industries. Thank you, Star Wars Net. And then his move is Disabler. Lando throws out a sticky rebel device which disrupts the radar and communications of enemies around it, as well as revealing them through the environment. So basically, it should be like a model like Dice, like you just mentioned.
So what I hear you saying is he's going to be lame.
I mean, most of these characters are lame. I mean, as you would expect. I feel like everybody's playing it for like the lightsaber people.
Yeah.
Like, that's where the real fun is. But I mean, Rey, I'm super excited for. I mean,
Does she have a lightsaber?
She does.
She has Anakin's lightsaber.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now it's officially her lightsaber. That's the new.
Called out to her.
Yeah.
Darth Maul, obviously, will have the double-ended one, double-fisted.
Jesse, what are you able to say about this game? Because I don't want you to say anything that gets you in trouble.
Right. So just in general, I mean, this information, I actually just heard about this earlier today. I read this on my 15-minute break. I would actually caution putting a lot of stock in data mining, simply because potentially this is the thing, is that even though that information may actually be in the game, it may not be in the sense of, okay, these are actual playable characters for all modes. Sometimes, I mean, games do this where they're unique, So, there's a lot of DLC that's apparently planned for this game. Free DLC. Awesome on that. So, I mean, again, this is information from alpha. And if you know anything about gaming or anything, alpha testing is alpha phase is very early. A lot can change. A lot can get dropped. I know that there's been a large public outcry that they haven't announced Anakin Skywalker as a playable hero for the game. And I can actually kind of understand that. I mean, Anakin was pretty, he played a large part, despite how you actually view his character in the movies or, in the Clone Wars and everything. But I actually would like to see Anakin Skywalker as, a playable hero. And the ones listed here, I think they'd be all great to play. As far as Lando goes, what you described, Nick, and honestly kind of sounds like they copy and pasted him over from Battlefront 2015. Let's face it, Lando in Battlefront 2015 he's a horrible hero to pick up. I never choose. I've played him once.
You know what character they need to bring into these games? I want Lobot. Cloud City map. I want to play as Lobot.
And I'll be honest with you, what I would like to see, reading all the forums, what I would like to see, maybe Captain Rex would be kind of a cool hero.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
To see in the game. It would fit. Huge Clone Wars character. He's in Rebels. He's iconic. I love the character so much that one of the influences on the helmet are the Jageyes.
Yeah, and he is more popular than I think Cody. I think Cody kind of got put in the background because
I think they have a lot of room to add a lot of these heroes, but again, I'd like to caution that with data mining, there's pros and cons to it. Yeah, you get some of it is probably accurate. Some of it may not actually make it into the launch of the game. It might be something that's further on down the road. So I wouldn't expect all these heroes to be there at the launch of the game.
Cool.
But yeah, it's basically really all I can comment.
David, what do you think about it? Because you're more of a player, not necessarily into like the gameplay. What I just said actually makes no sense. You like to play the game. What do you think about it?
So going back to the PlayStation 2 versions of the game, the two things I really loved were the campaign mode, and there's no new information on that. But there was also a game setting, and I don't remember what they called it, but basically you would pick the light side or the dark side heroes and just have like a great big brawl in some of the maps. Here, I don't recall.
Just like heroes,
something like that.
Yeah.
And so, like, if they have that in this game and these are the options to choose from, I think it'll be a good start. You brought up bringing in some Clone Wars characters and got me thinking about Ahsoka and Sakura and some of those. I think that'd be kind of neat to bring into the game too. But
wasn't that just called Battles versus Heroes? Heroes versus Villains. Yeah.
Heroes in 2015 it was Heroes versus Villains is what they had.
So,
which is like one of the most fun things, like on Tatooine,
right?
And just go in the.
So I would love to just grab a couple lightsabers and go rip Lando Calrissian apart. So if that's an option,
you'll play as Darth Maul, which was actually a fun tidbit about Maul is that we didn't confirm it, but Sam Witwer did confirm. I think he was doing a Twitch stream, and he confirmed that he's coming back and he's voicing Maul for the game, which is just consistent with Clone Wars and with Rebels.
I have to say, I would love to meet him. Can we put him on the lunch docket with Mark Hamill?
So we're
everything?
inviting Sam Witwer to come have Taco Bell with us.
Well, I've been thinking we might have to up the ante a little bit because Hamill is not responding to our invitations for Taco Bell.
It's going on 2 months now. We have not heard from Mark Hamill.
So, but yeah, Sam Witwer, he's done so much actually in the Star Wars universe. He played Starkiller in the Force Unleashed games.
2 games that I wish they could bring back.
Yeah, they borrowed his likeness for the character, and then he's done a phenomenal job in voicing a number of characters on the Clone Wars and in Rebels and everything. So, and just overall, just from the interviews, he just seems like a really fun guy to hang out with.
He's super cool, and it's really great to see him back in this role because obviously right now we know that he's not going to have a role probably in Season 4 of Rebels. At least that's what we know so far. So to have him back in the Star Wars world, in that Star Wars conversation right now with this game is pretty cool. Let's go ahead and jump down to the next topic, which is the comics, the panels for this week. And before we move on to that, if you like this list of 15 characters that are out, knowing that you'll possibly have these 15 characters to play in the game, comment below. Tell us who you'd like to see added to the list. I like the Rex idea that Jesse had. I like the Mace Windu idea that you had, Nick.
I'd like to add one more, and you're going to hate me for it.
Is it Lobot?
No, I'd actually like to see Jango Fett added in.
I'd be fine with
because
that.
I think,
especially on Camino.
Because, just in the older games, 2015, Boba Fett and the older, Battlefront games, they have different combat, styles.
If we're going to have a Death Star map in this game, instead of giving me the Emperor as the alternate hero, give me Thrawn. Ooh. Let me have Thrawn.
Thrawn as a hero would be a lot of fun.
Because originally I was like, what would be kind of cool is if Tarkin had a pistol. But Tarkin would be kind of lame because he's more of like a diplomat. He's kind of like that guy just in charge of the room. But give me Thrawn in a video game.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool. I mean, that's a stretch, but he's so popular now with the series, with the book. Put him in the game.
Yeah, but in Rebels they show Thrawn being quite proficient in combat. I mean, he was training against the training droids and everything.
And he has good aim with a blaster.
Yeah. I'm totally down for that.
Well, we'll do that. Now let's go to the comics. And we're going to first talk about the comics for this week. And it's going to be a brief conversation because because of the 4th of July holiday, our LCS wasn't able to get them yet. So it's Star Wars Rogue One 4 and Star Wars 33. And the Rogue One series is one that we haven't been following just because it's a comic adaptation of Rogue One Star Wars story. And issue 4 basically takes you to the attack on Edu. It also shows the Vader scene on Mustafar. It takes you to Mustafar. And it's interesting because by now I think they assume that everyone knows that the castle is on Mustafar. They actually include, you know how in the movie they would tell you in the bottom third, like what planet you were at now. So they did that in the comic book. They tell you it's Mustafar. They did not do that during the movie. They tried to leave that as like speculation opportunity. I think I'm the only one that's looked into this comic. I'll just say that I think it's okay. I think a lot of people seem in the community to really enjoy this comic. I was kind of let down that they really didn't pay any attention to that scene at Vader's castle, and that was a bit of a letdown to me. That was one of my favorite moments of the movie because you're really expanding the lore of Vader and just the idea that he goes back and builds a castle on Mustafar for him to really just kind of dive into the dark side of the Force is really cool, and I thought the comic would be an opportunity to explore that even more. They chose some other things to explore instead. That's fine. I'll let you enjoy that for yourself if you want to go ahead. I'm not going to tell you not to pick up this comic. Go ahead and pick it up and enjoy it. But like I said earlier, it's just a comic adaptation of a film that we've already seen. That's okay. I will tell you this, though. I'm a little bit of a hypocrite. I would totally tell you to get the book version of Rogue One. Just finished it recently, and it gives you quite a bit of perspective that we don't get in the movie. And it really, I think, intensifies my experience watching that movie. The other one was Star Wars issue 33. I'm not going to talk about this one a whole lot, just that this is just everybody getting back on their own series. So that Screaming Citadel series, where it was Luke and Han and Dr. Aphra and the dark side force-sucking queen, that's done now. That miniseries is done. It'll be available, I think, in a month and a half in trade. But now this is Luke and Leia. They're together, and they're taking on life. Next week, I'm really excited about this. It's Darth Vader number 3, and the last time we saw Darth Vader number 3, or the last time we saw Darth Vader in issue number 2, he just wrecked a former Jedi outpost where there were several clones on standby. So let's go ahead and speculate what we're going to see in this third issue. And David, I know that you're a big fan of this series.
I'm stoked and pumped.
What are you hoping to see in this?
I'm hoping to see more of Vader just rip people to shreds.
It is fun to see.
However, I don't think we're going to get that.
Okay.
So we end the last issue where Vader gets a location of a Jedi who's taken an oath to kind of gives him a sabbatical. And we find out that the reason why he took the sabbatical from the Jedi Order and thus wasn't on the radar for getting exterminated was basically he liked to kill people too much. So we get to see Vader go off and hopefully in this issue fight this guy. And he doesn't have a lightsaber to do it with. He's just got to use his rage, his pain, his fury, his anger, and his suffering in order to do it.
That's right, because this first arc of this series that I think we can both say after 2 issues, I mean, Charles Soule has been very consistent in his writing. Vader is on the pursuit to find a kyber crystal to build his new lightsaber. So we got to find the crystal. I think hopefully at some point we're going to see the crystal being bled to turn red. Jesse, we love lore. We love exploring, and especially with this concept that these kyber crystals are living things. What are you hoping to see in this issue 3?
For one, an epic battle. I don't know if we'll get this issue. Maybe that could be quite the path there. He doesn't have an exact location of. I'm gonna call this Jedi a battle master. Because it just seems like the way that this Jedi master was described is like not so much that he killed like all the time. It's just he thrived, when it came to combat situations. Like, he just had trouble being just a peacekeeper kind of thing.
Well, in the second issue, don't they say that his role, that Jedi's role was specifically just to fight, just to battle?
Yeah, and it kind of raises an interesting point that if these Jedi, if there's a couple of these running around, like, how many did they get involved in the Clone Wars? Because you would think that the Jedi Order would, in a sense, kind of want them to return, potentially for their combat prowess.
But he took that brash oath, which is saying that no matter what, you will not indulge in you won't return. So, like, you're basically abstaining from the Order. So, like, even though if you feel like the tremor in the Force, so they're saying, you feel the Jedi purge and all these people that you can't come back.
Is this a permanent thing, or is this just a choice that they do for X amount of time until they feel it?
For right now, we don't know. We just learned about this oath in the second issue.
So, like,
well, it's not necessarily speculation because we have it confirmed in the issue. We know it exists.
Well, yeah, what I mean, like, is are they able to actually, if they're able to prove that they're not this way anymore or something, like, are they?
We don't know yet.
Is it a self-imposed?
In the second issue, it just says that these Jedi take the initiative to take that oath.
So it sounds to me
all
like
the
it's
same, though.
self-imposed.
I'm hoping for an epic battle. So obviously, as David mentioned, Vader's got to, really use the Force in this case because he's not going to probably use a blaster. So he's really he has to be on top of his game, honestly, because in the expanded universe, Vader is not known except for, I believe, in an old book. He hasn't used Force lightning. He's not potentially capable of it because of his robotics and everything. So,
but he can block blaster bolts though.
So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I'm kind of curious to see what's going to happen here.
Yeah.
What's he going to bring to the table to actually fight this Jedi that is known for basically being a skilled warrior?
Yeah, Nick, what do you think?
I totally read comics, so I can imply.
You read the comics during the episode. That's your shtick.
No, I don't know. I'm just excited. I don't really know what to expect. I never know what to expect with these. I just kind of start reading them. I love to see. I don't think you're going to get the battle. You can't get 2 epic episodes or issues back to back, so
It's going to be a little bit of a lull?
It's going to be a little bit.
Well, we're going to find out together, and that comic is coming up next week. We want to do a better job of telling you what came out this week, but also the week ahead, and so I'm really glad we're taking the opportunity now to kind of speculate what we're going to get this coming week. Also know that Dr. Aphra number 9 comes out. We have not, again, that's a line that we haven't been following. We need to do a better job of following that line. But if you do, you can tell us what it's about. Basically, it's Aphra just getting back on track now that she's not doing the streaming Citadel stuff. So look for those 2 issues on the bookshelves this coming week at your local comic book store. Let's tap the... no, we got to go to Blast It or Stash It. That's the next topic.
You're missing, actually.
What did I miss?
Han Solo debacle... Lego Han Solo. Are we talking about that one tonight?
Yeah, that's Blast It or Stash It.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm a little bit ahead of here.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Guys, I put together the show notes. I know what's going on. We're
testing you. Totally testing
Stop
you.
it. We're in
Yes.
Blast It or Stash It. This is a
read
segment
them.
where we have a topic, and that's where we get it presented, and we decide whether we like it or not. And so the first topic is talking about D23, right? We're talking about D23, and there is a rumor that we're going to get a behind-the-scenes featurette of the Last Jedi movie. See, I got frazzled because I thought that I was in the wrong place. This story comes from us from StarWarsNewsNet.com, and it's basically saying, don't expect a full-blown trailer, but I'm thinking that behind-the-scenes featurette, we got a Rogue One, maybe something similar. Hearing this news, are you excited? Because last week, we were talking about how there was going to be no presence at San Diego Comic-Con. And so now we're hearing, okay, we might get this thing at D23, which is what we kind of expected. David, what do you think?
I guess I'm excited for a behind-the-scenes look. I'd really rather see a trailer come out. And I thought we talked a couple episodes ago, there was a rumor that a new trailer had been uploaded somewhere for viewing at some point. So I remember thinking I had my fingers crossed to come out with Spider-Man, and it didn't. Mm-hmm. So, yes, I guess I'll watch a behind-the-scenes thing, but I would have preferred more new content.
Okay. Nick?
I love behind-the-scenes stuff. It's one of my favorite things, so I'm really looking forward to it. I don't want... The thing is, everyone keeps wanting more trailers. I don't, because I don't want to know any more about this movie. Mm-hmm. I just want to show up and watch it and be completely not knowing what's going on.
I think that's totally fair.
I hate when movies put out trailers and they just give everything away, which Star Wars does not do. They do a really good job at showing you a lot without telling you anything. But I don't want to see any more trailers. I'm good.
I think that's totally fair.
I'm content.
We have gotten a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff, like with the photo shoots, Jesse.
Mm-hmm.
We had Entertainment Weekly drop those 12 or 13 photos. Is a feature, I mean, it kind of follows the formula we've gotten the last couple of years, but is this what we really want?
You know what I'm expecting? You remember with The Force Awakens, it was Abrams on set, and then they had I'm trying to think of the name, but it was like the guy with the puppet that they had with the long neck and all the junk on his back and everything.
You see him at the Jakku junkyard.
Yeah, on Jakku and everything. That's what I'm kind of expecting, which I'm actually kind of fine with because it's kind of fun getting to see, like, me, I love props. I love making props and everything. So just kind of picking everything apart in that sense of, I try to find your common household items in like the junk pile. That's what I did with that, so I mean that's what I would expect is maybe just that kind of teaser. I'm not really expecting anything like a full blown trailer.
Yeah,
I'm kind of with Nick on that. I don't spoil it. You've kind of give me maybe that, like, because I kind of did this. They gave us a little bit longer trailer, and then this behind the scenes thing, and then that was good for me.
Cool. Well, just to remind you that there's going to be nothing at San Diego Comic-Con. I keep wanting to say St. Louis, because last week we kept talking about how we needed to bring one of these cons to the Midwest. But there is not going to be anything at San Diego Comic-Con, and then hopefully, possibly, according to the story, we'll have possibly this featurette to enjoy from The Last Jedi. Let's go ahead to the next topic, and this is, we're talking about Han Solo products. So there's a story that the guys over at StarWarsNewsNet.com had, and I can't remember the original source that they found, but I'm going to cover our butts and give them credit for this. The Han Solo product dates have come out, and they're all saying they're going to drop sometime in April. And so traditionally, the products of the movie are going to drop about a month and a half before the film release. So an official list is now saying that we're going to get these products in April, which says, as of right now, we're still keeping that movie for that May release. We were kind of mixed about putting this in the show just because we're like, well, this is nothing new. We kind of already assumed that they're going to keep it here until they say, if they do, they're going to move it. David, what's your reaction to this?
I still want to see the movie get moved back to December so we can keep up with this every December we have a movie thing. So I guess I'll blast it.
Okay, that's fine. Jesse?
It's actually kind of interesting about this, in this, it's, the Lego Star Wars products and everything. And I actually saw a YouTube video the other night where I didn't catch, it was like Beyond the Bricks. It's kind of, a channel for like Legos and everything.
They do a really nice job.
Yeah, this guy was actually over, I think in Denmark is where like Lego has like one of their headquarters.
Their main office,
he was interviewing a couple of the guys that are kind of in charge of the Star Wars Legos and everything, and they were talking about how, like, when The Force Awakens was coming out, like how they had access to some of the elements of like the script, and they went to the set to kind of see things firsthand to design their product. So for me, I feel like, of course, their product is probably like it's okay because I don't think they're really going to be changing too much in terms of the set or the appearance of the characters. So I don't think they'll have to change much with that. However, I think it's still a little bit too soon to actually go, yes, it's still coming out in May, because Ron has only been on the scene
like a week.
Yeah. It may be one of those things where he comes in there and he goes, look, Kathleen, the damage here from the previous directors is a little bit more extensive. We need to push this back to do reshoots and everything.
So blast it or stash it.
I'm going to blast it simply because I'm with David. I want to see this movie out in December. For one, seeing a Star Wars movie in Christmas, since I kind of work in the retail field, that's like my Christmas present. So that's what I want to see.
So these two blast it. Nick, are you on the same page? Or are you going to keep it?
Blast it, because I hate this movie and I don't want to see anything else about it.
All right, so we're going to go on to our next segment with that thought, and it's time for us to tap the Fan Comlink. We're having a great time.
I'm excited about this question.
No, this is super cool. I want to remind you that if you haven't already, I'm going to look at this camera. If you haven't already, comment below with how you feel the show is going. What's your favorite part so far? let us know in the comments below. Also, if you don't already, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel if that's where you're watching, or on iTunes. iTunes has a subscribe button. Just, you know what, just hit all the buttons for us.
All buttons.
So you always know what we're up to.
Take your face and just rub it all over the keyboard.
Fan Comlink this week comes from one of our fans on YouTube, and it's asking a very cool question. It's asking about, I'm ignoring what you guys said because I didn't even hear it. He's asking if we're going to learn anything more about Tar Vizsla, who is the first Mandalorian Jedi. And to give you some background, this is a character that was in EU, but it was also in Rebels Season 3. One of the middle episodes, and it's when we're first learning about the dark saber, and I hear the knuckles popping already from Jesse. And so we learn that he's the first Jedi. He created this saber. The Jedi end up keeping the saber, and they break. Mandalorians come in there to steal the saber. It's a very well explained story in 2 minutes on the show. I'm kind of summarizing it. But our person wants to know: will we learn more, or is there more to learn about this character? And Jesse, I'm going to ask you to keep this tight, but what do you think?
Well, I like to point out that I've got the Mandalorian Mythosaur on today, and we've got the helmet back, so I'm excited about this question.
I think that side of the table just lifted 2.5 inches.
No comment. Okay, so Tar Vizsla was introduced in Rebels in this previous season as Sabine is basically, she's recovered the Darksaber from Maul, and she's basically kind of given a history lesson about it, and we learn about Tar Vizsla being the only known Mandalorian Jedi, and this is where this saber came from. And what's great about this, and this is what I love about Dave Filoni, I'm correcting myself finally on this, in the past he has tried numerous times to bring lore from the Old Republic era into canon, and this is, I feel like, the first time that he's actually kind of gotten away with it.
Yeah.
Because in the history it references, this huge civil war that took place, thousands of years ago. So that I love it because of that. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get a lot more of that, potentially at least coming from Rebels. It kind of depends on what happens here in this last season. I mean, Dave said that he's completed the story arcs for these characters. So whatever he's got planned, I'm assuming that he may be working on an actual, larger scale animation series because he's so good at it. And I'm not talking about most of the junk that we talked about earlier. That David seems adamant on putting in the horrible box, with the Christmas episode. But it'd be great. I'm not against it. I just don't know if we're going to get to it. I mean, we do have some teaser, screenshots that we've seen displaying Mandalorian helmets laying on the ground. We saw those at Celebration and everything. I know that out there's apparently those people were lucky enough to see like the first episodes of this next season. Totally jealous. You guys should hook me up if somebody recorded it. Just saying, but I don't know if we're going to get that history.
Okay.
I would love to see it because I think it's an interesting character, and I think it, for me, being a Mandalorian fanboy, anything that adds to my favorite culture in this galaxy far away is a 10 out of 10.
Cool. Nick, what do you think? Because it's such a brief moment in this series. I don't know if it's something that they would want to explore more.
If anything, it might be like a novel at some point, or we'll just do some random character from back in the day or something like that. I just don't foresee them doing anything with any type of new media because I don't think there's enough of a interest in it to warrant any significant effort.
David, here's my thought about this. Rogue One was a movie that was based on a couple paragraphs of text at the beginning of A New Hope. Would you want to see maybe this explored in a standalone movie or maybe a novel like Nick brought up?
Learning about a Mandalorian Jedi, I think, would be fascinating because then I could have more conversations with Jesse about things. But honestly, until I Googled what a Tar Vizsla was, I had assumed that it was a company that manufactured garbage disposals. So, kind of a weird name, but I don't know anything about it, so I'd love to learn more.
So I have an idea, and you'd have to really work with syncing up timelines. But we've talked about this before, how there is an effort online to get a Old Republic Netflix series approved. And you could play a lot with the Sith Wars and such. and you'd have to play with the timelines, or maybe you don't have to because now it's all expanded universe. But if you did that series, I could see them shoehorning this storyline in there somehow.
I actually kind of want to chime in on that because I play Star Wars: The Old Republic, the MMO, quite a bit. And one of the favorite characters that you see, and especially the first trailer that they released for this game, was a female bounty hunter.
Okay.
In the game, we learned that this character's name is Shay Vizsla.
Okay.
And this game roughly takes place 3,000 years before, the Battle of Yavin and everything in the timeline. So, Vizsla is obviously a very predominant clan name and everything. So, yeah, it would be kind of interesting to see something leading up to that. I'd be open to some sort of, because there are books that do take place around that time frame that are well written.
It could
Why
be fun.
not?
It could be fun. And we also want to thank Sea Lost Comics for asking us this question on our YouTube channel of all places. So we're always talking about Facebook and Twitter, but you can always ask us questions on YouTube like you can do right now. Well, I think it's time to go into the last segment of the show, which is a lengthier show than maybe we expected, but we had a lot to talk through. We had a lot of opinions. Staying on target is that topic where we talk about what we have our targeting systems on for the next week. And let's start we'll start with you, Nick.
Gonna continue going Battlefront train. So
Yeah.
anything new Battlefront related, I'm looking forward to. Let's leave it at that.
You're just so happy. David?
Stoked for the next Darth Vader comic. I've also, now that Doctor Who's over for the season, gotten back into Clone Wars a little heavier. Just watched a couple episodes on zombie Geonosians.
Yep.
So I can't say that necessarily
You're so early on.
thrilled me. So listen, if I'm gonna botch one name, I've got to botch them all. It's
No.
the only fair way to do it. So I'm looking forward to seeing if we can improve above these weird zombie Geonosians. Also want to throw a shout out to my buddy Jonathan, who told me today he's watching the show. So thanks for watching, but it's 12:30, so go to bed.
Well, while we're recording this. Jesse, what are you keeping your targeting system on?
Just lately, it's obviously a little bit busy, with work and everything. Been doing some work on my own, Twitch stream and everything. They recently launched a new initiative for the affiliate program, which is a subscription button. So there's some new features that I need to tinker around with. So obviously just trying to, since I've taken on a full-time position at work and everything, just trying to find times to actually stream and everything. And it's kind of worked out with the downtime because gaming-wise, there really hasn't been anything really just that's, I need to play it. I have been playing actually Battlefront 2015 quite a bit simply because I want to stay frosty on some skills that are still relevant. Wink, wink. That's a little teaser in that sense, but I still got it in that game even though I haven't touched it for in a while. So other than that, I've been making a new lightsaber for my personal cosplay.
I feel like your targeting system is all over the place. You have
It
15
is.
things on
I
this
have
list.
everything. I got a whole docket, but
I have a whole big bag of toilet accessories that we are going to make a lightsaber out of. We have to do that soon.
That's the other thing I'm looking forward to is actually finding a date and time to get everybody together so I can train you Padawans on lightsaber making.
Yeah, if you haven't watched it already, we actually have a part 1 video on our YouTube channel right now where we go through, we go to a local hardware store and we get all the parts to build our lightsaber hilts, and then we'll make part 2 hopefully in the next couple of weeks where we actually assemble and have our finished products to show off on the
I
show.
think most of us are kind of throwing design ideas around. I picked up an extra one just for my own purposes and everything. I did a little bit of design work on that, which it's actually turning out I think it's going to be really nice compared to the first one I made. So I'm really excited about that.
That'll be cool. My staying on target real quick because we were running out of time. We're going way heavy. I just want to talk about Hasbro's HasCon. That's going to take place September 8th through the 10th. And they're just dropping all their stuff online. Shout out again. We've always have to thank StarWarsNewsNet.com for their work. This is a story from their site. And they just go through there and they break down the schedule of the con and also the items that we can expect to see. So really excited for that because I'm a toy collector, mainly Lego. But, I think it's going to be really cool. And I know that there's a lot of people that watch that are into in general, just collecting toys in general. So be on the lookout for that. And again, you can find that story. We'll link it in the description below. I'm exhausted. This was a long episode.
Yep.
This was a long episode, but it was a fun episode, and we're glad that you were able to join us for this. Be sure you hit subscribe on our YouTube channel if that's where you're watching. Like this video.
Subscribe, not like. Subscribe to this video.
Well, you subscribe to the channel, you like the video.
Share it with your friends, too.
Share it with your friends
Yeah.
for sure. And if you have some downtime, be sure you check out our friends over at 3Wise Media. That's 3Wise Radio Podcast, as well as Movie Versus. Also, this is the last note. Cosplayer of the Month is a contest that we are starting. We have opened up the entry time. So if you do Star Wars cosplay or you know someone who does Star Wars cosplay, have them send us a bio and their 4 best Star Wars cosplay photos to beyondtheblastdoors@gmail.com. We will be drawing our first winner for the month of August in the last week of this month, the last week of July. So be sure you get those entries in, let your friends know, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Whoever wins will bring on the show.
I'm excited
and
to
do an
see
interview.
it as a fellow cosplayer. I'm going to nitpick, but I'll also be taking notes potentially too. So
It's going to be a really good time. All right, that's going to do it. Episode 8. It was a long one. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you soon.
I feel like if we start reviewing like cosplayers, I'd be the Paula Abdul who just loves everything because I wouldn't know what's bad and what's good.
I should not have drank 2 of these 32-ounce things before this.
You have to pee so bad, don't
I
you?
go to the bathroom.
Okay, we'll get you up.